Anthony Kiedis was born on November 1st, 1962 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He is the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers and one of the most well-known figures in alternative rock. He never stopped shocking his fans and critics, whether it is through his father's unusual upbringing, his lifelong struggle with substances, or his onstage performances. If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and leave a like. Let's dig a little deeper and check out 10 things you may not know about the Red Hot Chili Peppers singer. Number 10. He and Mike Patton have been in an ongoing feud. The two bands that helped establish the funk metal subgenre in the late 1980s, Red Hot Chili Peppers and Faith No More, had an initially amicable rivalry. However, the conflict intensified between the two lead singers of the bands, Anthony Kiedis and Mike Patton, which expanded into a verbal conflict that was stoked by the release of the Faith No More music video for the song Epic. This music video grabbed the attention of Anthony, who criticized Mike Patton for copying his moves, expressing his concerns that fans would believe that Red Hot Chili Peppers were imitating Faith No More. Mike Patton kept his silence until 1990 when he planned to release a record called California, which would coincide with Red Hot Chili Peppers' album Californication. As both bands were signed with Warner Brothers, they postponed the release of California by a month in favor of Anthony's band album. Additionally, Mike Patton discovered that his band was being excluded from a number of summer festivals when Red Hot Chili Peppers threatened to leave the events and force the organizers to pick a side. This made Mike's band, at a Halloween performance, appear as Red Hot Chili Peppers members and perform the band's songs poorly, while also alluding to the group's history with drugs by acting like they were about to shoot up on stage. But as the years went by, the dispute cooled down and now they're on good terms with each other. Number 9. He enrolled at UCLA for writing. Although he used drugs frequently, he had still managed to do well in school, constantly having straight A's and excelling, especially at English. It was during this time that he began to hone his writing abilities, which would later play a significant role once more. He eventually earned an honors diploma from high school in June 1980. And after that, in August, Anthony enrolled at the University of California, Los Angeles, the same college his father went to, but where he never felt at home. He didn't make a single friend and struggled with his finances and drug use. He eventually dropped out at the start of his second year due to his deteriorating cocaine and heroin addiction. Number 8. His grandmother disowned him for referring Satan on TV. Be careful with what you say on TV, as grandma is always listening. By the early 1990s, RHCP had become sensations on MTV. At the 1992 MTV Video Awards, they took home 3 trophies and performed one of their biggest songs, Give It Away. As the band accepted an award for Under the Bridge, Kiedis read out a long list of musicians to thank and started with Satan. This was not taken as a joke by his grandma, who later disowned him. Kiedis had to write a letter to her explaining that he does not adore the devil in order to clear up any misunderstandings. Number 7. He performed emergency CPR on a baby. James Corden has had a lot of interesting visitors in his car for the carpool karaoke segment on his Late Late Show, but he never had a hero like Anthony Kiedis. But while filming, a life or death situation arose and Anthony acted heroically. During a filming break when they were going to have Mexican food, a woman came out of her house holding a child who had difficulties breathing. When they crossed the street, the woman thrust the baby into Anthony's arms and he performed emergency CPR on him. He tried to open the mouth that was locked shut. So he started rubbing the belly and bubbles came out of the mouth. The eyes rolled back into place, the ambulance showed up and Kiedis handed the baby over, who was finally breathing and fine, and they went back to filming the carpool karaoke episode. Number 6. He played Sylvester Stallone's son as a child actor. Midway through the 1970s, Kiedis tried to get his break as a child star. He was able to land small parts in films like Jokes My Folks Never Told Me because of his father's connections. He was chosen to play the Sylvester Stallone's character's son in the 1978 film FIST. In his memoirs, Kiedis revealed that while he hoped to get along well with the Italian celebrity, things didn't work out. He once described how he tried to hang out with Stallone to prepare for the role, and the Rocky star screamed asking for the PA to get him out of there. Number 5. He was convicted of sexual assault. The Red Hot Chili Peppers have never been accused of being shy in their sexual exploration. The lead singer had developed a notorious reputation for having a wild, carnal appetite, even perverse beliefs, whether it was from his personal recollections in his biographical memoir book, Scar Tissue, or through lyrics in songs like Suck My Kiss. During their 1989 Mother's Milk tour, Kiedis was convicted of sexual battery. A woman claimed the frontman exposed himself and touched her face inappropriately with his crotch at a concert at George Mason University. He was also found guilty of indecent exposure and sentenced to a $1,000 fine for each misdemeanor. Years later, this episode would resurface when Kiedis was invited to narrate an advertisement for condoms. When the CDC learned of this conviction, they took the advertisement out. Number 4. He got dengue and a cockroach living inside his ear. Kiedis became fascinated with the Pacific Islander culture as soon as the 1992 Red Hot Chili Peppers World Tour was over. After the band's tour of Australia and New Zealand was over, the remaining members went back to their homes, but Anthony continued to reside in Australia, taking a month off from touring to spend time in Borneo's jungles. However, the vacation ended up being a complete nightmare. During the first night in the wilderness, Anthony experienced a severe headache. Schiffmacher, who was there with him, pointed a flashlight in his ear where a cockroach was coming out. They eventually got lost from the official guides for about a week, during which Kiedis caught dengue. Number 3. He smuggled $30,000 for his father when he was 12 years old. It wouldn't be surprising to know that Dammit would involve his sons in his activities. Immediately after relocating to Los Angeles in 1974, Dammit brought Kiedis on a business trip to Kenosha, Wisconsin. Anthony stayed watching the same James Bond film while his father spent 3 days dealing narcotics. Then they left Los Angeles, and Anthony carried the $3,000 himself in order to protect his father from being busted. Number 2. He lost his virginity to his dad's girlfriend. In his biographic book, his first sexual experience, which was with his father's 18-year-old girlfriend, was described as follows. One night shortly before my 12th birthday, I got the courage to write my father a note. I know this is your girlfriend, but I'm pretty sure she's up for the task, so if it's okay with you, can we arrange a situation where I could end up having sex with Kimberly tonight? He said, okay, there's the bed, there's the girl, do what you will. She guided me the whole way, and she was very loving and gentle, and it was all pretty natural. I can't remember if I lasted 5 minutes or an hour. It was just a blurry, hazy, sexy moment. Number 1. His father introduced him to drugs at age 12. Anthony wasn't raised in a typical family. His father's drug addiction and careless lifestyle led to his parents' divorce when he was still a small child. John Michael Kiedis, the father of Anthony Kiedis, relocated to London where he would frequently party with musicians like Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin. The senior Kiedis would describe his interactions with the rock stars in letters to his son. Dammit soon made his way back to LA to try to make it as an actor. To support his extravagant lifestyle, Dammit peddled drugs and hung out with A-listers like Cher, who got to babysit young Kiedis. When he was only 12 years old in 1974, his son moved in with him. There, Anthony met the Talking Heads, Blondie, Bowie, and many other famous people. Not long after the move to LA, he and his son shared a joint. And at 14, he tried heroin as an accident after mistaking it for cocaine.